For centuries, people have told legends of lost worlds and civilizations. Of course, back then, when the world was largely uncharted, it was easier for people to accept that perhaps these mysterious lands exist or have existed. Nowadays, it seems that the idea of lost worlds are more laughable than credible. I think that's because a lot of us feel like we know everything, especially now with satellites everywhere and photos of everything. But these images can't show you what lies at the bottom of deep oceans. These images can't see into caves. Scientists even admit that over 85% of Earth's species are unknown. So I am encouraging everybody to just keep an open mind about these following lost worlds, some of which might still exist. Number 1. Lemuria. Lemuria, or Mu, is a continent said to have been swallowed by the sea and to now lie under the Indian or Pacific Ocean. The famous theosophist Helena Blavatsky claimed that the Lemurians were ape-like giants that had the gift of telepathy. In a book called The Lost Continent of Mu, one writer claimed that all of mankind had its origins in Lemuria, which once extended from Hawaii to Easter Island and Fiji. Supposedly, it was completely destroyed 12,000 years ago by an enormous earthquake and sank into the sea. Number 2. Agartha. Tibetan Lama legends tell us that Agartha is an underground world. It's linked to the four corners of the earth via an intricate tunnel network, describing a land inhabited by peace-loving and gentle people who try to alleviate the exuberance of the people living above ground. The myth appears to be very old. Plato spoke of broad and narrow tunnels located underneath the earth, governed by a marvelous ruler who sits at the earth's center. A few hundred years later, the Greek writer Pliny mentioned people who fled underground after Atlantis was ruined. According to some believers, the Atlanteans fled to Asia, where they tunneled under the Himalayas, waiting patiently for the day when they might once again emerge to rule the world. Number 3. Lyonesse. The home of Sir Tristan, one of King Arthur's fabled Round Table Knights. Lyonesse is a country in Arthurian legend said to be located close to Cornwall, although its exact location has never been specified. In later traditions, Lyonesse is said to have sunk beneath the waves sometime after the Tristan stories took place. Lord Tennyson, one of the greatest poets in British history, described Lyonesse as the site of Arthur's final battle, in which he was mortally wounded. Number 4. Cantre'r, meaning the lowland hundred, and is also known as the Welsh Atlantis. It is a legendary ancient sunken kingdom said to have been located in the area between Ramsay Island and Bardsley Island to the west of Wales. This kingdom features in folklore, literature, and song, and is believed to lie beneath the waters of Cardigan Bay. The most popular myth states that the land was fortified against the sea by a wall that regulated water levels. A prince, described as a drunkard and a womanizer, was in charge of the wall. Of course, that's who you put in charge of the most important thing in your kingdom. And due to his negligence, the sea swept through the gates and ruined the land. Even though there is no reliable physical evidence that this kingdom now lies under the bay, there have been several reported sightings of sunken human habitations, stone walls, and causeways. Number 5. El Dorado. When the Spanish invaded Mexico in the 16th century, they heard rumor of a fabulous city paved with gold. The city is ruled by a priest king called El Dorado, or the Gilded King, whose body was said to be covered with powdered gold. Francisco Pizarro invaded Peru and famously overwhelmed the Inca civilization with a series of murders, deceits, and dishonesties. He did find some gold in the end, but it did him no good as he was assassinated in 1541. Even though there are some facts supporting this legend, no actual proof exists of the El Dorado, and in later years it settled into a mythical tradition as a place in the Americas where a city of gold lay. But even today, many still believe that the city does exist, waiting to be found by the right person at the right time. Speaking of El Dorado, I got a scenario I want to throw at you guys. Let's say you're lost in the jungle somewhere and you accidentally stumble upon El Dorado or any other city of gold, what do you do? I mean, if you think about it, this is a difficult decision. Do you try to carry as much gold as you can out of the jungle? Like grab, let's say, a gold chair or something and try to walk it out the jungle and then sell it somewhere at a pawn shop? Or do you decide to tell the world? I mean, how do you claim that you found this city? And then I would think that if somebody knew that you knew where the city of gold was, would they like make you take them there and then like kill you? I don't know, a lot of scenarios. Just let me know what you would do if you accidentally found the city of gold. Number 6, Avalon. Most researchers believe Avalon was derived from the Welsh word afo, meaning apple. It is a legendary island, the place where King Arthur's sword Excalibur was forged, and where King Arthur was later taken after the Battle of Camlan to recuperate. In Welsh, Cornish, and Britain legends, King Arthur never died, and according to these traditions, he will return to lead his people once again. Avalon became associated with Glastonbury in 1190 when monks at Glastonbury Abbey claimed to have found the remains of Arthur and his queen. The writings of Dorado of Wales claimed that Glastonbury was in ancient times actually called the Isle of Avalon. And finally, Atlantis. Atlantis is probably the most famous lost civilization. It's said that Atlantis met its demise 10,000 years ago, destroyed in one night by earthquakes and floods. Several researchers claim that Atlantis really existed, that the empire embraced parts of Africa, Asia, Europe, and the Americas. Others firmly believe that the Atlantean survivors were responsible for the construction of Stonehenge and the pyramids. According to Plato, Atlantis was ruled by 10 kings. The royal palace had hot and cold running water, and the largest temple on the central island was dedicated to Poseidon and Plato. Most believers claim that proof lies in the island Antilia, which can be seen on 15th century Portuguese charts, which is supposedly the actual Atlantis that disappeared beneath the sea. Others believe that Plato mythologized what was actually a real event, that the historical eruption of Thera, which destroyed the Minoan culture of Crete, is the genuine basis for the Atlantis myth. Now, I absolutely believe that prehistorical civilizations and lost worlds do exist. If you guys want to check out my video on possible evidence of prehistoric civilizations, just click on the video link on this page. Most of us probably seen the movie 2012. Now, I get it's just a movie, but come on, it's not unthinkable that water could completely destroy a civilization, even one as large as ours. Like our whole civilization gone in like a day. It just disappears. And maybe it's sitting on the deepest part of the ocean that nobody can see and nobody can get to. Even with our technology now, we can't get to the deepest part of the ocean. Now, can you imagine if something like that does happen, and then, I don't know, like 20,000 years later, people are talking about the lost city of New York or the lost continent of Asia? This is assuming not every single person was wiped out. I just think it'd be hilarious. They'd be at like Mount Rushmore thinking like, who are these people? Kind of like how we see the Sphinx, you know? Then they have their own evidence of prehistoric civilization. It'll be like an iPhone they found, and you know, it's bent. Alright guys, let me know if you think prehistoric civilizations or lost cities really do exist. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget about my City of Gold question. Alright guys, thanks so much for watching. See ya!